Have you ever gotten one of these? One of these little plastic Chick-Fil-A Be Our Guest free food cards? Well, we're gonna break down why these work so well for Chick-Fil-A as part of our broader review on rewards programs and breaking them down into why they work from a psychology perspective and from a business perspective. Let's get into it. So, as you may or may not know, Chick-Fil-A actually trains their staff to give these cards out pretty frequently. So why do they do that? It's a super successful business. There's always a line. Why would they give free food out? Everybody loves this stuff. I'll tell you why. It's for two key reasons. Number one is the endowment effect. What is the endowment effect? The endowment effect is essentially the reason why your used car seems more valuable to you than someone who's buying a used car, right? It's the effect that we ascribe more value to things that we possess or own. And that's a natural phenomenon. It's about loss avoidance. There's a whole long tangent we could get onto about that. But that's the number one reason that these work, because there's an endowment effect. You possess the item and you ascribe value to it. Number two, habit loops. So if you haven't read the book Hooked by Nir Eyal, it's amazing, it's great. If you're a product person, you should read it. But there's a lot of application for rewards programs in there too. There's 4 ways, I'll break them down. A trigger, an action, a reward, and an investment. So how do those 4 relate to the Chick-Fil-A rewards program here? Well, the first is the trigger. The card is handed to someone and now they possess it. That endowment effect is coming back into play. The second is the action. The person wants to visit and use the card. Why do they want to do that? Well, they all have a little expiration date on the back here, and that drives urgency and again, loss avoidance. Someone doesn't want it to expire because it has value. It's free food. And then the third is the reward side. You actually receive the food when you redeem the card. There's also a reward that comes into effect with the food itself. There's dopamine release from all the salt, fat, all that tasty stuff that comes with Chick-Fil-A food. And then the last is the investment. So most people visit QSRs with someone else, so they're gonna get an additional purchase there from the Chick-Fil-A side. And then these cards are usually only good for a portion of a meal, not a whole meal. So there's a fill-in with high margin items like Coke, lemonade, French fries, sides, etc. And so they make money on all of those things. So those are the 2 key reasons, the endowment effect and then habit loops. Chick-fil-A deeply understands habit loops, the endowment effect, and they are a master at driving frequency. They have only 3,000 units in the United States, but they're the number 3 fast food chain in the country, behind only McDonald's and Starbucks. They have an average unit volume AUV of 9 million per unit, and they drove over $21 billion in sales in 2023 alone. Very successful company. Speaking of McDonald's, that's the next one on our list. We'll have that next week for you, breaking down the McDonald's Monopoly campaign and why that was so successful for all the years that it ran in the US. Super cool. Come back when you see this next post. See you then.